my kids are seventh generation Texan. To just lay it all out there, I think we've both probably had times where we've had a foot out the door. But I think what's made it work is that we both want it. Like we're both willing to work. Trust yourself. That we're encouraging and we make it feel doable. That's kind of my dirty little secret as a Texan. I hate country music. Into ownership of a business called Lone Star Literary Life. Our podcast is called Time to Write.
Did you enjoy the conference?
I did. It was really good.
Yeah.
It was good. And my husband flew out and met me and we stayed for a few days after. So that was really fun. So,
Oh, what'd you do?
we stayed up in Santa Monica and I actually have I have a daughter who's in school at UC Santa Cruz and it was her spring break. So she drove down and we got to hang out. So it was really nice.
That's really fun. Yeah, Santa Monica's lovely. The pier and stuff
Yes.
like that was really beautiful.
Yeah, it was fun.
I've only been there once.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
really, really fun. I feel like a lot of American movies. Like that.
Exactly.
I'm like, oh, look at this one. And skate movies for me. So
For sure.
yeah. How'd you feel did you feel like, this is my take, is I felt like everybody was trying to network and trying to find the best sort of networking possibility for them, and I was kind of a bit overwhelmed with that a little bit.
I think for sure. I know. So I co-host the podcast that I'm on right now, and so my co-host was with me. So that was kind of our strategy, is to network and to get to know people. I feel like that part was good. I also took time. Like there were a couple of times I just went to the room and. Because I feel like after COVID, I'm much more I feel like I'm an ambivert, much more introverted than I was before COVID for whatever,
So my wife recently I say probably 5 years ago, told me that being extrovert and introvert is not what I think it was. And I thought extrovert was like someone that can just chat to anyone. And she goes, no. It's wherever you re-energize. So some people, if they're stuck at home, they're like, I'm bored and I'm tired and that, but they go out and hang out with people and they're like, that's the extrovert in them. Where me, I will shoot the shit with anyone. I'll hang out and I'll have the best time. But if I don't get time to myself, exactly. So I would come back. I had to drive back down to Long Beach from after the event.
Okay.
I'd go play pickleball actually with my friend that lives down there. And, but then we would get home, it'd be about 11, I'd be exhausted, and then I'd be like, I just want to like sit and do my own thing.
Yes.
Like it's almost like a control thing, and then I'm like, okay, I can go to sleep, re-energize for tomorrow and get back into it.
Yes. So I have that, and I have I do get energy from people too. It's just,
me too.
It's the balance, I guess. Now it's the balance.
Yeah.
Whereas before I was always about, I have to have people and, being by myself, like sucked and, that kind of thing. But after COVID, it's been just like a complete flip. So,
I've always drawn, as you'll see, I'll do an illustration for you. So I didn't realize that was my alone time.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I love to draw. I love to do this. And then when I was working, I used to work for Nintendo, and I would go there full time. And then you'd come home and I'd have the kids, and then I'd be like, oh, I'm going to go out to dinner with these other friends. And then I'd be like, this much window for me to do my thing.
Yeah.
And I was getting like grumpy and burnt out. And I didn't realize that's what I needed to re-energize.
Yes, for sure. Yeah. For sure.
Like I go down to pickleball now, and I've got 3 courts really close to me, and right now there's probably like 3 stacks of people waiting for the courts, which like it's for, I know, right? But I know just about everybody there. Like, and so I'm like, I walk in there and I'm like, hey man, how's this? How's that? I get so much enjoyment out of that. So
yeah, sounds like you're an ambivert too.
Yeah, maybe a little ambi. It's the only thing that I'm ambidextrous in.
Well, did you enjoy the conference as well? Did you?
Well, you were lucky you had a tag team partner. And so if you ever felt solo, you could at least like come and be like, hey, let's regroup. I felt a little, and actually with all of this I do is I'm very solo. Not that I choose to be, but it's just something that I'm like, I don't have any other friends that want to be like, hey, let me go record this with you, or let me, you get what I mean? So I was going down there solo. I won the scholarship online
Okay.
sort of thing. So, and as I walk in there, I'm like, oh shit, this is like a bigger deal than I sort of like was. I was trying to like play it off in my head, and so I think what I'll do if I go to another one, I know what to sort of expect, and then I think I'll be better about networking. I'll go up and talk to nearly anyone, but if there's a group of 5 people, what, you slide up as the 6th person, be like, hey guys, look at me, hey. So,
well, believe me, I know. I actually, I did a solo podcast before I did the one that I'm on now. And so
yep.
I guess it was 2022. I'm in the Dallas area. And so
Yep.
it wasn't the Evolutions. It was like their big mothership conference, just the podcast movement. And so I went by myself for just one day. At that point, I was kind of going back and forth, like, do I keep going with my podcast? Do I not? I'll go just for the one day, see how I feel, and I know exactly what you're saying. It's very difficult solo for me. I'm sure other people, but because there are already
sure other people
groups.
do, but-
Yeah, there are.
Yeah.
So-
I was lucky enough, like there's a whole fiction, podcast fiction crew.
Yes.
And so I knew, I interviewed Shannon from Oz9.
Okay.
In a previous interview for this, and I just ran into her down there, and I was like, oh, Shannon. She's like, oh, hey, blah, blah, I'm going to this one. And then she's like, hey, text me, mate, do you want to come to lunch? Super lovely. And so I got to go out to lunch with all those. So I didn't feel like I was like, oh, no, what am I going to do? And also I was kind of like, well, I'm going to jump in this one. I know you guys are going to that one. But then at the end of it, they'd be like, hey, you want to come over and do this? But I couldn't go to any of the after parties. I was like, I am done. But I feel like younger me, Party Matt, would have been like, that's where I would have shined. I'd be like, oh my gosh, here we go. And maybe I should have brought that guy out for a little bit, but his hangovers are too bad these days.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Funny enough that you're in Dallas. My best mate in the world, who I have a tattoo of on my arm right here.
Oh, that's awesome.
His nickname is Sparkles. He's in Dallas right now.
Oh.
And we were just chatting a second ago on the phone, and it was just awesome. But anyway,
That's funny.
It's just means nothing because I'm just excited that you're in the same
Small
place. My best
world.
mate is.
Yeah, small world.
Oh, how'd you enjoy the eclipse?
Oh, it was amazing. Just, my husband and I talked about it. Like, it'll be 20 years before the next one's around. And we promised that we'll travel to wherever we can see the totality again. And I was a little bummed, like here in the Dallas area right now, like, and I'm coughing a little bit. I apologize for that, but I'm having like allergy issues. So my husband has he owns a company. And so he like brought lunch in and bought everybody glasses. And it was just kind of like a big deal. Really... And I was going to go down for it, but I couldn't.
Yeah. Oh, bummer. I've heard allergies in Texas is wild.
Yeah.
I had an old coworker that came from Texas to working up here in Seattle, and she was like, she would get like from some water or something like that. She would get like rashes on her body or something like that because her body wasn't used to.
There's all kinds of stuff, and around here it's some kind of tree, like a mountain cedar or something. Like they have pictures of it where like the trees are swaying, and it's just stuff is puffing out into the air. So yeah.
They up here they have this like cottonwood tree, and so it happens later in summer where it looks like it snowed because it's just all like shedding down.
Yeah,
and you get like you'll walk up to someone, you'll be like, "Hang on," your brain sort of goes, "It snowed," and then you go, "Oh no, that's right." Like even though you've seen
right, and you're Seattle, right? Is that
Seattle? Yeah,
fun,
nice, and it's actually a nice day outside, but it's still only like 50 degrees.
Oh, see, I think that's lovely. Like.
Really?
Oh my gosh, yes.
I just got back from Hawaii.
Oh,
you can tell by my face is a little tan, but my hands are not. And so,
oh wow,
I was there loving it. I was just like, this is the best ever.
I'm sure. Well, you've got to think here in Texas. Like I want to say last summer we hit like 115, 116. So I like the cooler weather for sure.
Yeah, that's the extreme side, I would say. I grew up in Western Australia,
Okay.
and so that's kind of like a really dry... I don't know about what Texas is like, but it's a really dry heat over there. So it will get sometimes up to what we call 40 degrees. So you might have a week of 40 degrees, which I think is like 110 here. And so you usually get that in the February time. And so I definitely know that feeling where you're like,
Yes.
it's almost like too hot, where you're like, my body shouldn't be functioning at this.
Well, it's like living, in a really cold place. Like you can't go outside, like everybody's stuck in, which is really...
I don't know why people go live in Phoenix. That's what I don't get.
Yeah.
You hear the temperatures in there and they're like, we can't go outside during the day. I'm like, you may as well live up in the cold then. Like you can't go outside anyway.
Yeah. For sure. Well, I'm glad you got to go to Hawaii. I wondered where you went for your spring break. That's super fun.
Oh, yes, I went to Hawaii. I also so I went to LA down for the conference as well. And a week before that I was in Arkansas.
Oh, okay.
So my month has been just wild.
Yeah.
I've been basically living out of a suitcase for all different reasons. I've gone there, but I never thought I'd go to Fayetteville. Have you ever been to Fayetteville?
I have actually. Yeah, I have.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because Arkansas is pretty close. And actually...
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and my co-host, my podcasting partner, she lives in Little Rock. So yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Which I was so surprised on how far everything is away. I was like, I was down there for my cousin who's having a 4-month-long procedure done to help his leg get back to not being painful and stuff. It's amazing what these docs do. He just had his first 20 minutes of pain-free, and then it only went back up to a 2 out of 10. And so
Amazing.
he's just ecstatic. And so I was down there just to hang out with him and sort of support him. He's like, mum and dad have been there. He's only a young buck. He's like 24. And I was like, hey, let's go to Arkansas. Let's go up to Little Rock. And I was like, let me look at, that's a 3-hour drive. We're not going to Little Rock. Hey, let's go to Tulsa, Oklahoma. And I was like, that's a 3-hour drive. We're not doing that.
Yeah, so. I think, well, definitely here in Texas, we have a whole different idea of road tripping. We'll hop in the car. Yeah. My parents live 6 hours away. We do that. So we lived on the East Coast for a while, and we were talking, we lived in the DC area, and we were going to drive up to New York, and we were asking people about it, and they're like, well, it's a 4-hour drive. Like, where are you going to stop on the way? And we're like, why would we stop? Yeah. Yeah. Which, by the way, we traveled a lot in March as well. So I also have a son who's in college, older than my daughter, and he's in college here in Texas. So we did a road trip with him. My husband, my son, and I drove from here out to Santa Cruz over his spring break and stopped at the Grand Canyon and the Hoover Dam.
I want to see the Grand Canyon. So
you have it is a don't miss. I didn't think it would be all that, but we went, and I'm just hooked. It's.
Everybody else has said that as well. I've been like, oh, great, Grand Canyon, but everyone's like, you've got to see this thing. It's magnificent.
It is. It's just, it's like looking out at the ocean. You just feel so small and full of wonder and significance.
I love that feeling.
I know.
That's the thing that I do to keep myself motivated, actually. I zoom out. And you're this dot, and I keep zooming out. So I go, the Earth, you're nothing on here. Then, the solar system. I just keep moving out, and I'm like, then why am I embarrassed to walk up to someone and be like, hey,
exactly,
come to chat about my podcast? You know what I mean?
Yes. In the big, picture.
Yeah.
Why not?
Why not? All right, Amy, I've chewed your ear off enough on this. Let's get into the actual questions.
Okay.
All right, here we are on Enjoy Your Story with Amy, and we're going to answer 10 questions, and I'm going to create an illustration for you. First question.
Yes, sir.
Breathe underwater or fly?
Fly.
Ooh.
Fly.
Why would you choose to fly? The road trips are too long?
Right. Just the thrill of it, and I love the water, but I don't know. I guess I just feel really closed in underwater. And so just the freedom of the sky. And, we were just talking about getting the bird's eye view and the big picture of things. So I just think,
That's a really good
Yeah.
point. I haven't thought about it that way. I always say underwater, but that's because I want to surf well. And I was just in Hawaii, and I was sucking so bad, even though I was having the best time ever. But yeah, that's a bird's eye view. That'd be a good point. Yeah. What do you do to pay the bills?
So several different things, and I've actually. So we met at the podcasting conference, and during that week,
yes.
I was in the process of buying a business. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, so I actually am transitioning into ownership of a business called Lone Star Literary Life, and so.
Oh, okay.
So, but what I do right now is I write, and then I also have a business called Accomplished Authors, where I help authors create their online social media presence, their online presence, just in general. I've found that many authors have kind of I hate to do this kind of feeling towards social media. And so I try to make it fun and help figure out the parts that you can enjoy and, all that kind of stuff and branding.
I just interviewed Angie Newell, who's a native Canadian author, and she has a book called All I See Is Violence. And she was mentioning how she has hired someone to do that as well. So that's sort of what you do there.
Well, they don't hire me to do it. I do like workshops and tutorials and one-on-one sessions to help them figure out how to do it on their own. Because I think my take on social media is you have to know enough to be dangerous, and you really have to do a lot of work to instruct someone on how you want them to show up for you in social media. So it's a lot of that work.
True. I do love the authenticity of me putting it out there.
Yeah.
But even me, sometimes I'm using like Opus to automate some of these clips for
Absolutely.
It's just so time consuming.
Yeah. It is. And it's also the best tool to connect with people. Like it totally cuts out the middleman, I feel like. So
that's if they ever respond. I've been like shooting my shot out there a lot lately, and I'm not getting anything back.
Right. Well, and then my new venture with Lone Star Literary Life, it is an organization that basically is just trying to pull together the literary community in Texas and be kind of a hub and give authors and indie bookstores and publishers a platform, to come together and to advertise and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just...
So...
Oh, go ahead.
When you say the Lone Star Literacy Center, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, Lone Star Literary Life.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Lone Star. So is that a website that people are going to learn about? Or is that a brick and mortar place?
So it's a website. It's all online, and it's a place. Yes. So there are newsletters that go out weekly. There are coordinated book blogging tours. So if you were an author and you wanted exposure, then you could come to us and say, I'd like to be on 10 different blogs with 5 reviews. And so we set all of that kind of thing up. So,
Okay. Is that, do the authors pay you for that service, or is this, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So the question following from that is, going back, you said that you're a writer as well. Have you, how many books have you written? Like, what do you have out there?
So I don't have anything published yet. I will say yet, but I have written a couple.
Fingers crossed. I know that.
Right.
I know the feeling.
I started out writing a young adult, like magical realism. So I have that finished, but it's kind of a project on the shelf. And then right now I'm working on a series about 6 sisters who live in a small Texas town. So I'm still working on that and trying to figure out, do I want to traditionally publish? Do I want to hybrid publish, self-publish? Yeah. Like, so much is changing. I
self-published 2 books.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, did you?
It's tough.
That's amazing.
Oh, yeah. So I'm a children's book author. I'll put that
no, claim it. Like, you're an author.
Yeah. But I'm an children's book illustrator as well. So I just had a book come out with Commandeer Press called Emily and Sam The Missing Turtle Math Adventure. That's a Canadian publisher, but I think actually you should pitch them your young adult book. I think they're doing open submissions to it. I'll send you a link after this.
I'd love that. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, no worries. But I understand the struggles of trying to get like stuff out there, because I've got this one amazing book that I'm like, two actually. It's called The Adventurous Adventures of the Missing Sock, and so I've written and self-published 2 of them.
Okay.
And I've got the 3rd and the 4th and the 5th all waiting to be sort of something to do with. But it's so hard trying to get like an agent. Like with my illustration skills, I was like, just give me an agent. I put out there. I've received like 25 like rejections on my illustration stuff.
Yep.
Let alone my authoring stuff. So
Yeah, it's interesting. Well, and I've seen, so my co-host is traditionally published. He had a young adult novel come out in 2019, and we're part of a critique group where there's one other lady, and she's been doing a hybrid publishing model. So she just came out with her second book. It's been very fascinating to see the experiences that like the process for each of them, how different it is, and there are pros and cons for both. It just depends on what your goals are, I think. But it's so fascinating.
Could you speak on the hybrid model a little bit?
Sure.
And that way you can just, people that are listening, they might be like, hey, I've been into writing and stuff like that. There's a hybrid model between this. How does that work?
Right. So what I'm familiar with, it's a press out of Austin called Atmosphere Press. And it's the one that my friend has worked with and done her 2 books through. But basically, these are all people who've been part of the publishing industry previously. They've come together to create this company where you have to submit your work. And then if you're chosen, then you take the financial responsibility of publishing. So they have packages, and you're basically deciding, they help you with your book cover. And so they usher you through, they usher you through the process. So you're not doing it alone, like a lot of self-publishers do, where you kind of like, you don't know what you don't know. And they have different options for like PR things. And because they're a publisher, it means that writers are eligible for different awards than you would be if you self-published. And it's just an extra, it's a team that's helping you get it out into the world. So again, you're taking the financial risk, you're making the investment in yourself. Whereas with a traditional model, you might get an advance that you have to earn out.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That's how I am with my illustration stuff on this book series.
Right.
I mean, they gave me an advance and then I'm paying it back, sort of thing. When not me personally.
No, but as your books sell, and a lot of books don't earn out. So,
Oh, I've got one in Australia called The Zombie School Teachers, and it's fun. But every time like I get like a review, it's just been sitting up. You've sold $200 worth. You got $1,200. So I'm like, I'm not seeing anything from that.
Yeah, exactly.
I have another one that in Australia it's called Where You're Going. And they didn't give any upfront advance, but what they did is that way you just start earning as soon as the book's published.
Right.
And their big thing, though, is that they don't ever take the books they choose off of print.
Oh, they're never remaindered. So,
no. So they continue and they go up through, like, they're in bookstores, but they're also because it's very Australian, they're in airports and stuff like that. So you get so much tourists coming through and be like, oh yeah, I'd love to get that. Oh, like, you know what I mean?
Yes, that's fantastic.
It makes a little bit, but it's a different sort of model as well.
Right.
But that's, the publishers run all that. I don't do anything for that. But the self-publishing is brutal.
Yes.
I had all these marketing ideas, and I have 2 dogs. I have a Staffordshire Bull Terrier.
Okay.
And then I have a little white fluffy thing, which I got from Dallas.
Oh, wow.
I've only been in Dallas twice, and both of them were layovers, but one layover I was coming back from Cabo. Fuck, I sound so bougie.
No.
It really does. My friends will, like, when they hear this, they're going to be like, you're a dick. You're not the same person. So I was in Cabo for a friend's 40th, and then we had my wife really wanted this same dog that we had that passed away a while ago. And so I found someone, her name's Kathy's Puppies, and she's just outside of Dallas, Fort Worth.
Uh-huh.
And so I flew through, coming back, I landed there and I had this puppy that I had to take on the plane.
Oh my gosh.
She was so cute. She's so white and fluffy. She's very adorable. But the other one is like a brick. She's like this, everyone thinks she's a pit bull, but she's not. She's a thing called an English Staffordshire. And so she just says, that's my dog, which I love. The little fluff ball. She's great, but she like, everyone just is like, gives her way too much leniency.
Yes.
And so she's like, oh yeah, I can definitely bring that bone in here. Or I can, oh yeah, let me just sit on your head while you're laying. I'm like, no, you don't do that.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. So I have two as well. They're they're sisters from different litters, and and they're both a half Shih Tzu, half Japanese Chin, and they're tiny. Like one of
is the one with the blue tongue?
I don't think so. They almost look like Pekingese or Papillons, I want to say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're usually black and white, and they kind of have a smushed face. So, but ours mostly look more Shih Tzu than anything, and they're little. Like the older one is 13 pounds, and this younger one is like 7. So they're she dogs. Like it's super fun. Yeah,
my little white fluffy one is 10 pounds.
Yeah,
like she's very very small, but she plays like she's like 75 pounds.
Yeah. They think that they're big. Very Napoleon complex. Yeah, for sure.
Yes, very much. So back to the question.
Okay.
You've got your new business.
Uh-huh.
Can you tell me about your podcast? Because I'm not sure if that's making you money or not like that. I understand that's like, what do you do for paying the bills? But you like put so much work into it, I imagine, like I do. Can you tell me about your podcast and other people that can jump on it? And
sure, I'd love to. So
just don't take any of my viewers. I've only got 5 of them.
So actually, that's part of why Emily and I were at Podcast Evolutions as well. We'd really like to monetize, at least to be able to pay for the show itself. I think for us, our podcast is called Time to Write. And we don't want to become all about our podcast. We want our podcast to drive traffic to our other businesses, like to our writing, to like My Accomplished Authors, and now to Lone Star Literary Life. But basically, our shtick, I guess, is we're really trying to help people who've always wanted to put a book out into the world, whether they've started writing it or not, by giving them like the mindset tools and practical tips on how to get that done. And we really focus a lot on the mindset piece, because I think that is the piece that's the hardest part. I think like everybody, so many people you talk to are like, well, I have a book in me or whatever, but so few people are actually able to sit down and make it happen.
I believe that I don't believe that everyone has a book in them, but I believe that the people that want to, there's a mind stop where it'd be like time.
Yes.
And so like I don't believe I can get the time out of my life to do it, but they're willing to sit down and watch 3 hours of Netflix or do that. So like that's the part to me. Like everyone having a book, like there's no way I could write a young adult novel. No way. I don't have the patience for that. Like if I was maybe brainstorming with someone who's an author and be like, hey, I've got this idea, and they want to ghostwrite it or write it with me, maybe we could work something out. But still, I don't have that in me. I think someone like you who's got that sort of mindset of like, oh, I can put together a story that's going to have this arc, this underlying arc, this theme through here. Oh, the attitude changes, the personalities.
Right.
I can't keep track of all that. I'd probably have 2 odd shoes on right now. I can't keep track.
Right. Just the same way that I could not sketch and draw this the way that you do, for sure. So yeah, but it's exactly like you're talking about, like the 3 hours of Netflix. To me, that's a mindset. That is a mindset.
I agree.
So really, and that's why we're calling it Time to Write. It has a lot of different meanings, kind of a double entendre. So it's that kind of thing. And then also just really talking about the fears that you face, when you're sitting in front of a blank page or when you're trying to market yourself. So we're trying to be a resource for that. So that's, that's the show that I'm doing currently. The one that I did prior to that, and again, did not end up monetizing it, but I did over 160 episodes, and and I did all of it. I did the audio editing, I did the show notes, I did on many of the episodes, I would do a content upgrade where I'd create a landing page where people could go and give me their email address and get the freebie from the episode. Like, it was a lot of work, which is why for Time to Write, we've really pared it back. But that first show was called, it was called In the Middle of It. And before I had kids, I was a middle school teacher, which, so I taught 8th grade, but it was like 6th, 7th, and 8th graders in the school. And when I started it, my kids were middle school aged. And what I was trying to do was take current young adult literature that maybe was scary for parents because of the subject matter or whatever, and help them use it to connect with their middle school kids. So it was geared towards middle school parents and teachers. So
did that have as your kids grew out of that, did that sort of slowed, like, the reason you stopped it? Why did it come to a halt for you?
So I think I've always loved middle schoolers and been involved in some way, whether, so I taught school for 5 years, and then I would do things like help with conferences for middle school aged kids, or at our local church, I would lead like a small group of middle school kids. And so it's always been my passion. But when I decided to stop, it was, excuse me,
You're right.
It was the year my daughter was a senior in high school. And even well before she graduated, I was kind of moving into that existential crisis, kind of, what am I going to do? What is this what I want to do? I was working really hard with trying to sell workshops and things like that, and it just wasn't monetizing at all. So the summer after she graduated, I halted it. So it was definitely, part of it was I actually had some health issues that summer, and then that just kind of naturally led into, okay, I'm ready to let it go. And that was summer of 2022. And last year, so it really was only a few months before I realized how much I missed podcasting. And I talked to my friend Emily, and we decided to do Time to Write, because there's just something so fun about this, about getting to talk to people and putting your voice out in the world. It's intimate. And anyway, so
I definitely feel you on that.
Yeah.
There's this part of me that, like, I feel, I have a lot of self-deprecating humor, so like, don't take this as any, like, me, like, I might cut myself later. Don't take it like that. But I've and dark humor, I guess, now I would say that. So what I was going to say is, I still go through times where I'm like, this seems so stupid. Like, I'm interviewing people and doing these cartoon illustrations for them, and then I'm asking people, like, oh, like, go pull up at the coffee shop, and just hope for a random person to pop up. I'll reach out to random people and be like, hey, do you want me to do a cartoon drawing for you for these questions? And I feel so silly on it sometimes, but then also I'm like, that's kind of like where the fun part is, like this part where you feel so nervous on it. And so, like, then giving up that, like, so I started this like 2 or 3 years ago, and I was doing long form podcasts, and I was just doing the audio, and then we moved country and all this sort of, like, a bunch of stuff happened. And then I was like, okay, but I couldn't get it out of my mind. Like, I just wanted to get back to it. And it's not so much like, yes, I want this monetized. Yes, I want to be able to make my living off that. But it's about this, like, passion of my talking, illustration, and the people's stories as this Venn diagram of, like, that's my, like, happy spot in the world.
Yes, and it's all you. It's you being you at your fullest, I think. And it's totally unique. Like I know watching you, like when we met at that one session and you were sketching behind me, like it's such a fascinating thing that you do. Like I would have never imagined or thought about it. So it's completely unique. So it's that being able to be in your sweet spots and put something out into the world. Like it's so creative in a completely different way than has ever been possible before, I think. Before,
How many
early
episodes
2000s.
in? How many episodes are you in to the current
So
podcast?
the current one, I think we have 52 or 53, something
Okay.
like that.
Do you want to? This might sound a bit odd. Can you give me some of the positive feedback that you've received from people doing that? Because I think people listening now, like I think that will help them get like into your podcast. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So if you were like, hey, I've had this person finish their first novel or bring back one to life or something like that.
I don't know if I have that kind of feedback, but what I do have, I feel like, is we hear a lot about that we're encouraging and we make it feel doable, and the way that we structure it at the end of every episode, we share like, what does your mindset need to be, what is the kind of the practical piece of it, and what are next steps that you can follow to kind of move forward. So we've gotten a lot of feedback that that's super helpful, and not just helpful in, okay, now I have something to do, but I think people find comfort in patterns so that they know that it's coming at the end of it, the consistency of it coming at the end of every episode.
Yeah.
So there's that. And then also, we're not prescriptive at all. I think you can find a lot of people out there who are like, here's how you need to do it, and here's what should happen. And I think for us with the mindset piece, especially when you're talking about something creative like writing, everybody's process is going to look different. Like no two people are going to have the same process. And anybody who tries to tell you, this is how you need to do it, every morning you should get up and write for 30 minutes or, that kind of thing. So I think the fact that we're not that we're just sharing our experiences and giving, sharing ideas, and maybe even giving people permission to just kind of throw out the book that they've read that gives them the rules and just say, piece together what works for you. I feel like that's what's really resonated based on the feedback that we've gotten.
Yeah. Have you guys ever done like you two going through and doing like episodes, book tours at bookstores?
No. No, we haven't done that.
Oh.
Well, and really, honestly, the podcast conference that we went to was the first time that we'd been in the same place physically in like 3 years, because she's in Little Rock and I'm here in Dallas. So.
Oh, I thought you meant she used to live in Little Rock.
No, she's there now.
She's still in Little Rock.
She's still there. Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is how, I mean, what we're doing now, this is how we video all of our, things. So.
Yeah, I just imagine. Jesus, words aren't great for me either, apparently. So it would be really fun if you guys went through like bookstores and hosted like little podcasts, and people hear about the podcast, but then once they're there, they're going to go and tell people about it.
That's a fantastic idea. Yeah. That is a fantastic idea.
You could do like tours through, or because you're basing it around like Lone Star Literary.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. I'm actually going to a conference in a couple of weeks. That's it's the Mountains and Plains Independent Booksellers Association or something like that. So yeah, I think that is a fantastic idea. That would be super fun. Super fun.
It would be fun, and also fun for you guys, like doing that little table set up, little people listening.
Yes,
like, they're getting the full vibe of it. Nice cameras. Yeah. Anyway,
it'd be fun.
I'm always coming up with ideas, so I'm sorry for that.
No apologies. That's
All right. Next question.
Okay.
What is something you cannot live without?
Something I cannot live without. That's a hard one. I feel like I try to hold things with open hands.
What does that mean?
Like hold them with open hands, like not hold on tight. Like I can't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I would say
Okay.
reading. I could not live. It's like breathing to me. I could not live without reading. Yeah.
How many books? I was just in Hawaii, and my cousin-in-law said she had read 56 books this year already.
Yeah. I don't know how many this year, but I do know I hit over 200 in the calendar year last year.
What?
Yeah.
I think I read one book last year. I do a lot of like audio book. I know.
That counts.
I do.
Audiobooks counts. Like your eyes going
I
across the
do.
page. Doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah, I do audiobooks, and I'll do a lot of like because I'm drawing so much, I need something that just like keeps a small pattern going. But because I then drift out of my brain, sometimes if I listen to an audiobook, I'll be like, "Oh, that's still running." Okay, I got to go back and listen to that. Like, so I have to be a bit more deliberate.
Yeah.
But I do. My wife loves reading as well, and I do enjoy seeing her just go, I'm going to go into this world
Yes.
with this paper. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I think
like
it's
Paulo Coelho and stuff like that, books I can get into a bit.
Yeah.
Bit shorter of reads.
Sure. Sure. Yeah. No, I feel like so my mom, I would take my brother and my sister and I to the library every Saturday, like every Saturday, every Saturday, every Saturday. And so I think that started my love for reading. But I also feel like it was a coping mechanism and maybe a little bit of an escape, growing
Oh,
up.
yeah.
And yeah,
I think half the stuff we do as adults that we have been doing for many years, like now I think back, my illustration stuff was all an escape. I grew up in a pretty dysfunctional household, and I'm sure that part of the drawing was like, well, I get to like draw and create and leave this stuff behind. I was not aware of that at the time.
No, of course
I just
not.
thought I was being creative.
Of course not. But
But now I look back.
the way you talked about like you could write and everything else goes away, like that's how reading
Yeah.
is for me, for sure.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
draw. You said, I'm sorry. I may have said
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I was picking up what you were putting down. We're all good.
Using your pen or pencil. So, yeah.
When you are reading, are you imagining the story in your mind? Like, so like sometimes when I'm reading, right? So I'm reading a full, like especially something that's fiction. I'm reading it in my mind, but I feel like I'm so focused on the book. It's almost like not in my mind, it's around me. Does that make sense? Like I'm lost. If the book's good, I'm lost in that world.
Yes.
So like Harry Potter, for example, I know that
Yeah.
like everybody, but that series really got me because the world was so captivating.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. So for me,
So anyway.
yeah, it's like that. I feel like for me, it's like being in a movie, right? Like it, if that makes sense, like I'm immersed and
Yeah.
it's like, 3D full experience.
Yeah. I feel that. That's how I feel sometimes
Yeah.
when I'm sort of really into a book. Like you probably get into books better than I do, but when I get one, I'm like, oh wow, okay, I can't get enough of this. Like,
Right.
get me to the next page.
Right, which is interesting. I feel like because I thought that everybody could do that until I know it's been within the past couple of years. I was reading about a study that they did about imagination and how it works differently for people. So they took like apple, and some people can picture like an apple, like a real apple sitting on the counter that you would pick up and take a bite out of. That's what they picture. But other people picture like an elementary school drawing of just like a red, flat, 2D apple. Some people imagine the word apple spelled out. I mean, it's just so different what they found, how everybody's imagination works.
Do you know what's funny is I was thinking about this because I don't know if you went to the Speaker Lab talk at.
I did.
Okay, maybe that's where we met. I have no idea. But so the Speaker Lab talk, and they were talking about, you can do like one talk, and you can like go do conference. And I was like, man, it'd be really interesting to do a talk on creativity because I think a lot of the imagination stuff is a skill that's learnt. It's
Yes.
just, everyone's creative. It's just where you fine tune that skill.
Yeah.
So I choose to do illustration, creative stuff, and problem solving. I'm really good at figuring stuff out. But then I feel like people that are like in the financial world, and they're like figuring out how to make money do certain things, and I'm like, that doesn't hit me. But you are using creativity to try and figure that out.
Yes.
Whether that's morally right, I don't know what they're doing over there. But
no, I completely agree. My husband, I think I mentioned he has his own company, and I actually helped him start it about 10 years ago and worked with him for like the first 6 years. And he is creative minded, but I don't think I'd ever appreciated until walking through that process. It's a commercial construction company, so they do a lot of remodels of commercial interiors and things like that. But it's so creative, that process, and I don't know that I would have been able to see that until I, had a front row seat. But yeah.
But that's the thing is, I feel like everybody is just one recognizing it, but then also, how can I use that skill to fine-tune it elsewhere? So I find with my creativity and the way I look at things, even around my household, people will be like, oh, how do we solve this? And I'll be like, well, my brain is not set to like think like yours. So I'll think about this stuff here and then come to this solution. And I'll be like, oh, yeah, that's an easy solve. I'll get there quicker because my brain was, it's trained differently. But anyway.
Yeah. Can you give?
What do you do for fun?
I'm sorry. Give me just a second. I'll be right back. I'm gonna blow my nose. Sorry, the whole allergy thing.
You're good.
Thank you. Sorry about that. The whole allergy thing.
No worries.
Yeah.
That's the power of editing. We can cut that out.
Right. Please.
What do you do for fun?
Oh gosh, let's see. I love to go see live music. That's kind of my husband is my thing. Yeah. So
what's your band at the moment?
Well, actually, I'm going not this weekend, but next weekend to see a band called Blue October that I love.
Oh.
And
are they country?
No. That's kind of my dirty little secret as a Texan. I hate country music. Loathe it. Oh. So, no.
So the Beyonce new album came out and you're like, what are you doing? Get out of here.
Yeah, I'll plead the fifth on that. No, I'm trying to think. Oh, we were able, for my birthday, we went to kind of our band, just because of when we met and that kind of thing, is U2. And so we went to see the show at the Sphere, which was phenomenal. So that's been a great one. And this has been years ago. We went to Simon and Garfunkel, who we really love. I'm a huge, I guess the closest I get to country would be Taylor Swift. And so we went to see her concert.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
She is just a powerhouse.
She is. She is.
Amazing.
Yeah, but.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah. My daughter and I have listened to her ever since my daughter was probably 7 or 8, and she's 20 now.
I have an inner Swiftie in here. Like her Calm Down track, really got me. And I was like, yes. Like, you made a whole song that was about like this. And so I was like, good, let's get it.
Yes.
So that got me in. And I was like, let's ride that out.
Exactly. I'm trying to think of who else. We just go see a lot of local stuff too. There's a great little, almost like a speakeasy in a restaurant where you have to give a code and a row of,
I
know, a wall of book slides. It's called the Rare Books Bar, and they always have live music and stuff. So that's really fun. So yeah, just all kinds. I have, my playlists are super eclectic. So, we saw that.
I've got a band.
What?
Oh, go for it.
What's that?
No, you tell.
Oh, I just was going to say, we got to see The Cure last year, which was super fun.
Oh, wow.
We're definitely 80s babies and, met and married in the early 90s. And so yeah, kind of all the old school stuff.
I have a band for you. They do have their most popular song is called Texas Sun, but they're not country.
Okay.
Crumbin.
I'll
send you a link.
Yeah. Okay.
It's KHRAUGHBIN.
Okay.
My mate Mitch got me onto them, and I've just been obsessed with them. They just got this like great groove to
I
them,
love it.
and it's just so good.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was rocking to them beforehand on this,
Super fun.
but the new Black Keys album just came out as well, so I was just
Oh,
listening to
I'll
that.
have to check that out for
Yeah,
sure. Yeah.
yeah.
And it's been interesting. My daughter's really into music too. So she shares a lot of her
Oh,
bands like Boy Genius, and there's one called Mount Joy. It's a lot of more folksy kind of stuff. So it's
oh
been
yeah,
fun
yeah.
to see her.
I I grew out of my folksy stuff, so I was really into Ben Harper and Jack Johnson and
Yes.
Donovan Frankenreiter, that surf sort of rock, folky stuff. Um, and, hang on one
No
sec, sorry.
problem. No problem.
No, she's not here. How can I help you, mate? A little what? Heater? I don't think so. I can we can turn the fireplace on in there if you want. Okay. Thanks, mate. Oh, God. Okay. This is just not happening.
No, that's okay.
So,
How old are your kiddos?
oh, that's not in my kid. That's we have been doing remodeling on the house. It's been going on for hours. So the reason I'm not doing this in my office is because we're painting upstairs, and the painters were just out there. The paint's not drying quick enough because my father-in-law turned off the heat. We're in this like crazy fun situation. But anyway, so we just remodeled and add on to this house. My kids are 12 and 9 at the moment.
Fun ages.
So, fun ages. A little bit too much attitude. I feel like I wasn't allowed to have as much attitude as these kids are allowed.
All I can say is buckle up, Buttercup. Yeah.
So, you do a lot of music for fun. Let's go to what is your spirit animal?
A unicorn.
A unicorn.
Yes.
I love it.
Yeah.
What makes it a unicorn? I've got a whole theory about this. So, you go for your unicorn, and then I want to
Okay.
hear what you think of my theory.
So I would say when I was young, probably like between 9 and 11, I loved unicorns. But I also feel like for me now, I feel like I went through this really cynical phase, probably like my college years and kind of early 20s and things. And I feel like coming back to myself was a lot of embracing kind of everyday magic and the wonder and beauty that's in every day if you know where and how to look and that kind of thing. So I think, yeah, unicorn.
Okay, cool. I really liked it. I like that you brought yourself back on that. I have a thing with like unicorns because I'm like I think there's so many amazing animals out there. Like so, the rhinoceros is like the living unicorn, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty amazing. Then you got
Yes.
the platypus, the echidna. There's all these amazing animals out there.
Yes.
And I feel like the unicorn, just because it might shoot some magical fart sprinkles out of its butt, that it gets all the play. But all these other animals, like if there was a unicorn and a rhino sitting in a bar, the rhino's like, great, I've got a freaking horn too. You know what I mean?
I do.
Why are you tipping?
I do, but I also feel like too, when you talk about animals, then you throw in like sea life and all the crazy, amazing, like magical things that are there too.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
I totally get it.
Yeah. Sea life is crazy. Especially, they're always finding new stuff. They just
Yes.
recently found a whole bunch of like new animals down below, and I'm like, that's incredible. I assumed that we had seen everything
Yeah.
by now, but
Nope. Not even close, I would say. Not even close.
not even close. All right. What is something you say to yourself that you can't believe you did that?
So,
Like something like it could be something amazing, could be something like so for me, I threw the first baseball pitch out at the Mariners game one time. Wow. And yeah.
so
I'm
like
not even a
something
huge
I
baseball fan.
can't believe I got to do that, like that kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, that type of thing.
Okay, so I would, have always loved reading. My all-time favorite author is Madeline L'Engle, who
Okay.
she wrote A Wrinkle in Time. She wrote A Wrinkle in Time, which it was a movie.
Oh, yeah,
okay.
Became a movie, yeah. Oprah wrote,
Right.
was in that movie and stuff like that.
But she wrote it. It won, I think it won the Newbery in like the 60s. So it's been around for a long time. And so, and she has a whole body of work. Anyway, when I was teaching school, so this would have been in like the late 90s, I was chosen to be part of a committee that reviewed nonfiction books for a librarian publication. Anyway, you don't get paid for it, obviously. So it was like a year of just reading tons and tons of kids' nonfiction books. So as a thank you, the magazine gave us tickets to go to the American Library Association's luncheon for an award that they give every year called the Margaret A. Edwards Award. And it's for a body of work that somebody has done. And it was Madeleine L'Engle that year. So I got to see her and meet her and listen to her speech. Like, I still get chill bumps about it. Like, it was like a dream come true, magical unicorn moment.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was just phenomenal.
And you had no idea, like, you're doing this
it was
off your own back, and you're not like, hey, that's the goal. I know that's coming up.
Yeah, it was.
That is really bloody cool.
Like, it was, and it's still like that moment. She walked into the room, everybody stood up. It was a luncheon, so we were all around tables, and I'm just like tears streaming down my face for this moment. Like, it was really special.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
that's awesome. I'm so stoked you got to experience it.
Yeah, thank you. Likewise, with getting to throw the first pitch, that's pretty phenomenal too. Wow.
Do you know, it's pretty. So Nintendo used to own a majority of the Mariners, and I think they still own a chunk of it. So when I worked there, I would actually. Do you know what's funny? Is the bloody cottonwood is starting to fall, and it looks like it's snowing outside. That's ridiculous. Anyway,
you'll have to take a picture and use it for your social media to promo the episode.
Yes, yeah. Bloody snow in July, whenever it is. It's not July yet. Anyway, so is it cottonwood? No, it's just leaves. Anyway, I'm screwed up anyway, but it's a white flower things. All right. So Nintendo has like a Nintendo Day at the Mariners.
Okay.
And how they used to do it, I don't know if they still do, but used to have a box and you'd put paper in it to see if you could be the one to throw it out. So it wasn't like I was special. I just I rigged the system and I put like 30 of my name in there.
You did the whole goblet of fire trick.
Yeah. So I put like, I would fold them up or awkwardly, like everyone was folding them nicely. I would fold them and stuff them in there. And so they picked my name out. So I got to throw the first pitch. It was an amazing experience and like really fun to talk about. But here's where it comes to bite you in the bum. A few like months later, say 6 months, Nintendo does, we got these huge TVs. We're going to give them away for like $50 each. And one of them was like an 85-inch TV.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, all right, this is crazy. I'm going for it. So I go do my trick again. I folded in this bit of thing, and I go back, and about 2 hours later, I get this email, Matt, you've won the 85-inch TV. And I was like, yes, here we go. About 4 minutes later, I get an email, Matt, you have been denied. We found that you have 15 names in here.
Oh, busted.
I did get busted. Rightfully so. But I was like, at least I got the Mariners pitch out of it.
That's hysterical.
Who is your go-to person?
Oh, that would be my husband. His name's Philip.
Ooh.
Yeah. Best friend. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So I think about that with my wife as well. And I think I should have worded the question different, because I feel like a lot of married people feel that not saying that you're obliged to say it, but I feel like some people feel obliged to it. But it's almost like who outside of your husband, who is that?
Okay.
Go-to person? Because who are you going to complain about your husband to?
Well, but here's the thing. I would say there have been times where that probably wouldn't have been my answer. So I'm not just saying it gratuitously at all. I feel like we've worked we've worked really hard to nurture our relationship and kind of work through all the stuff that comes along with sharing a
How
life
long
with
you
a
guys been
person.
together?
How long have we been together or married?
Yeah. Together, married. That's the
So,
same
well,
thing to me.
this year is our 30th wedding anniversary. So, yeah, and
Wow.
then we were
Congrats.
together for 2 years before that. So, 32
Yeah.
years. Yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah.
yeah, and the whole adjustment of not having kids at home anymore, and
Oh, yeah.
really the working together. When we were building his business, that was a
Yep.
huge thing. So all that to say, I don't say it, gratuitously at all.
Yeah, yeah.
And in addition to Philip, I would say my go-to people are my critique group, Emily, my co-host, and our other critique group member. Her name is Kelly Abernathy. And so, yeah,
Yeah.
they're my people. They're
Yeah.
my people.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like my wife is my go-to person, but my mate Sparkles is like, I have three other mates really that I could go and say anything to, but my mate Sparkles and I just have a connection where it's just, I can't explain it. Like we can sit on the phone, we're
Yeah.
on the phone, as I said before, he's in Dallas, and he texts me after, he goes, seeing your face was amazing. It made my my meeting, and this is like two grown men doing this,
I know. I love
and
it. I love it.
yeah, and he's like, it made my meeting amazing after that, and all this, and I was like, it's just great seeing your face. You deserve everything you get. Love you. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's just,
Yeah,
it's just amazing.
it's that piece. It's the really knowing each other
Yeah.
and especially creatively. I don't know if you find this. I feel like as someone who writes, a lot of times when you share that, you get the kind of puppy dog look, like, huh, like people just don't, they don't
Oh,
get it.
yeah.
Like,
Imagine being 43 drawing cartoony
right.
cartoons.
Well, so
Yeah.
so to
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
community like that, and to have, and for me, it doesn't have to be huge, like just the two people, and not that I don't have a great
Yeah.
community, in lots of other places, but
Oh, yeah.
yeah, just to have
Yeah,
them
no, I feel you.
it's everything, like, especially with like
it's,
buying this business and all of the oh my gosh, what have I done moments, and
oh,
like
yeah.
kind of talking me down and remembering and reminding me, like, you can trust yourself, you can move through on
The
this.
fact that you and Emily have a podcast together, I'm already so jealous. And this is even funny because I'm like, if my podcast took off solo, then I'd be like, oh, me and my mate Sparkles can hang out more. If I had a partner that was someone else and I was like, oh, they're not Sparkles though. Like, so a part of me is also like holding it back. Like, I don't know, like putting it out there into that world. But
Yeah.
I'm very jealous of you and your go-to, because there's so many things you can probably behind the scenes go, oh, well, that fucking sucked. Or like,
Yes.
hey, that was a fucking great win.
Yes.
Like, that was amazing. You get what I mean?
I do for sure. And what I love too is that we're able to call each other out, I guess is the best way to say it, in a very loving, kind, compassionate way, but call each other on our crap, like, for sure.
Like, Emily's like, that was a shit job of you doing that fucking podcast. Not like that.
Yeah.
I can't imagine
like,
you guys say,
step up, you know who you are. Like, step up. Yeah.
Yeah. I need you guys in my corner. I need, like, both of you guys on my shoulders, like, just cheering me on. One part I just wanted to tip back to is I really enjoyed that you said about your marriage that there's times where you've had to work on it, because I've been married for coming up, I think it's 18 years. I know I'm an idiot, so it looks like, hey, who could be married for that long to this idiot? But I've tricked her well enough to to get to this point. But it has been times of like going from having no kids to then going into kids, then how to parent different age of kids, then also like, oh, I'm going to take this venture myself, and oh, but we still want to be, like, I'm going to go into podcasting. I've had a million different fucking little businesses, ideas and stuff, and my wife's supported through that. And then times where she's been like, hey, you need to wind it back a bit and get into this, and it's like, okay, we've got to work this out together. And I feel like a lot of people, when they see marriages that are happy, they're like, oh, you've been happy like that for a long time, where you'd be like, oh no, we went through times of 6 months where we weren't quite stoked on each other, but we were like going through it and knew that we wanted to get to the other side of it.
Yeah.
Like that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
not a straight line. But anyway, I just wanted to say recognizing that, and I think it's good for other people to hear as well.
Yeah. It's hard. It's really hard. And to just lay it all out there, I think we've both probably had times where we've had a foot out the door. But I think what's made it work is that we both want it. Like, we're both willing to work for it. And I think,
yes,
and
that's a big thing, is like having the both want it. And also, like, I don't want to say narcissistic, but like doing this type of stuff that we do, and like wanting to write and wanting to illustrate and wanting to have this like take off, there's a part of you where you have to think of yourself as a point. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But I always have my wife's like, what does she want, and what can I do for her in these moments? Or like when we do have an argument, I reflect back and be like, shit, I have been taking up too much of the space. How do I wheel this in? How do I open some more space for her?
Right.
So
right. Well,
having that sort of like both goes. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think for us, it's been a lot of doing our own work and figuring out where not to be dramatic, because I think it's trauma with a little t, like where are our traumas that have set these patterns in motion, and how can we unravel it and figure out how to communicate in a better way, or show up in a better way, or ask for what we need rather than expecting somebody to understand it. All the things. So
yeah, I feel you on that, and I appreciate you speaking on that, because I hope people take that away and be like, oh, you know what, we can do this, or we can get through that, or we're not different. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people look at other grass that's greener and go, oh, they're always so happy, or they're always this. And I'm like, you just never know what's happening behind closed doors.
You really don't. You really don't. And I said the part about we both wanted it, because I do think, and I feel, I have had friends and others who have experienced that they want it really badly. They're willing to do the work, but their partner isn't. So, it's heartbreaking. Because that doesn't work. Like, if you both don't really want it, you can't. So
right on the nose there.
Yeah.
I feel you on that.
Yeah.
All right. This would be interesting, but I wonder if there's like a Texan thing to this. But what's an unspoken social rule that you love or hate?
An unspoken social.
So, like, I give an example of like a handshake. You get a firm handshake. Is it too grippy, too soft? Like that, to me, like that throws my game off with people. I'm like, oh,
right.
Whoa, wait.
Okay, I would say the Texan one that I actually really love, because it's just whatever, and it's not limited to Texas. I know it's maybe a Southern thing or whatever. Is saying yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Yes, sir. No, sir. And I think from living in Northern Virginia, just outside of DC for 10 years, like it was super interesting to see people's results to that, because either, if they reacted to it at all, it was usually like, oh, that's so nice. Or it was like, don't call me, like, are you being sarcastic? Are you being like a smart aleck? That kind of thing. Or feeling like it was about age, like, I'm not that much older than you, or, whatever. And it's just such an ingrained thing. Like, this is just how you do it as far as growing up and all that. Like, that's just, anyway.
When I was in Fayetteville, me and my cousin were like, I've never been called sir before. Like, yes, sir. Yes. However it's spoken there.
Yeah.
It's so unnatural to me. I can't even imagine saying it. But yeah, it's we both were enjoying it. We're like, oh we're so la-di-da.
So there's that, and then the one other one that I love is y'all, because I feel like I had coffee with another lady that I had met at the podcast Evolutions, who lives here in the Dallas area, and she's actually she's actually Portuguese, and she used y'all, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I love that you adopted that, as part of your language as you live here. And go ahead.
I was going to say there's a difference between like, because I think a lot of people like in the younger people, y'all like they say it different, but when Southern people say it, there's that Southern y'all.
Y'all.
Where,
yeah.
yeah.
Y'all.
Oh God, the Southern accent. If my wife had a Southern accent, I would never be out of the bedroom because that thing like is amazing. I tell her every time when I went to Fayetteville, I told you, if the right Southern accent comes by, see you later.
Well, what she pointed out that I'd never thought of was it's great. It's like it's welcoming, it's warm, it's gender neutral. It's like it's all the things. So y'all,
I love the gender neutral part of it because I'll walk up to like pickleball or come in, hey guys, what's happening? I'm like, well, that sucks. But if I said, hey ladies, what's happening? Everyone's like, ooh, that's a bit mean. Like you're being derogatory. I'm like, no, I'm just saying
hey y'all,
the opposite of
or all y'all. Hey all y'all.
I love it. I love it.
So yeah, those would be mine.
I love it. All right, so we're getting to the tail end. What are 3 things that you are grateful for?
Oh gosh. Okay, I have to share this because it's hard to do. Yeah. It's really hard to do, I think, on some days. But I really try, like I'll journal or, have quiet time or whatever during the day. And I try to write down 10 things every day that I'm grateful for. And they can't be like my family or whatever. It's like I'm really grateful that I found one last chai tea K-cup for my Keurig that was unexpected, so I could have my tea. So, but if we're kind of pulling back and looking at the bird's eye view,
you can do it however
I want. Okay.
All right. Chai tea cup. So my wife and I do this every night. We do 3 gratefuls every night.
I love
and
that.
It can be like, I'm so grateful that I found that pen I was looking for. To I'm so grateful that we got to go to Hawaii and look at those mountains, and that was like where, like, it was just amazing, like to watch. You know what I mean? So something so big that I could never imagine that would be there.
Gotcha.
So anything you want.
Okay.
It's your grateful.
I think the hard part is the limiting it to 3. So I'll do them in groups.
I like that.
So my first group would be my husband and then my 2 kids, Patrick and Phoebe are their names. And just for the life that we have together and getting to like the gratitude of getting to watch my kids kind of spread their wings and go and just kind of all the parts, the delightful parts, and then the really hard parts of parenting young adults, 20-something kids, which I never, I think somewhere in my mind, I thought, well, get them off to high school and then it'll all be good. And I would say parenting at this stage is, I'm so sorry, I'm going to say it. Parenting at this stage is harder than anything that we've done before now, because it's just this weird space of we're still taking care of the fiscal part of things. So there's that.
Because they're both in college.
They're both in college, but then they're also like super independent and able to make their own choices. And because they were both like kids so my son graduated during COVID and started his first year of college during COVID. And my daughter was here at home for I think they'll be studying the impact of that for a long time. Anyway.
Yeah. That'll be an interesting study.
Yeah. So just kind of ushering them kind of into adulthood. And I always talk about, you have 4 stages of parenting, like your caretaking, like keeping them alive. And then you're a cop, like with elementary school where you're, teaching them right and wrong. And then you're a coach when they're middle school, high school age. And then you're a consultant where you kind of have to be asked for your advice. And it's really hard. It's hard to, not helicopter, I guess. So Anyway, so
I feel like that's the hard part, is like not giving my opinion when it's not needed even now.
Yeah. Yes. That. So okay, so that was my first, and then I would say my second would be like all my fun job stuff that I get to do, the podcast, and then this. I'm so excited for this Lone Star Literary Life thing. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like my husband and I, we really like sat down and looked at everything. And like he pointed out, he's like, this is the business you're trying to create anyway. So it's like a leapfrogging ahead a little bit. And, and the previous owner who I'm working with really closely right now, it's like drinking out of a fire hose,
Yeah, I
like trying to
bet.
do the transfer. She's phenomenal. So that's been really fun. But just, I love literature so much. I love the people that are involved in making it happen on, whichever segment that is. And,
Yep.
I think, and it's interesting because I just feel like I've been prepped and prepared for all of this to go down, because I've literally, especially over probably the past 6 months, just really started. I think have been really, I'm going to be very careful here. I've been disappointed in Texas, like with a lot of some of the stuff that's going on, and have for a while have kind of almost felt a little bit ashamed, embarrassed, like to be identified. But within the past 6 months, I'm like, screw that. Like, I want to be someone who makes Texas what I know it can be, and the amazing people that live here, and the amazing ideas, and all the things. Yeah.
It's hard when something you don't really have control over, like
Yes.
that then reflects a light on you that people think that is
Yes.
you.
Yes.
I didn't want to bring up. I was going to talk about book bans and stuff like that.
Yes,
Happening,
which is horrific. Like the first,
crazy.
the first podcast that I did, I talked a lot about that because, and this is kind of my motto, and I do not say it lightly. I believe it literally. Stories save lives. Like when you are a kid who lives out in the middle of nowhere and there's no one else around you who looks like you, thinks like you, is like you, and you find a book where you find yourself in it, like that is life-giving. Like that is life-giving. Yeah. So
that was for me, like cartoons and TV shows where I would be like I wasn't a big reader when I was a kid, but it'd be like seeing into these other sort of worlds. And with Australia, because it's so small, we only had 5 channels when I was growing up, and one was this international channel. But you'd end up watching stuff on there, and you might be reading subtitles. You'd like looking into this world that you would never get to see into. And I feel the same with like books or different perspectives and stuff like that. And even with podcasts like yours and mine, you're getting to see other parts of the world. And that when I hear the book bans, I'm like, come on. Like,
it's so much not who I feel like we as Texans are. Like, I feel like we have such an independent spirit. It's just, things are really not good right now. So, and the fact, my dad is the youngest of 6 boys, and they all grew up in like the Panhandle area of Texas, but someone somewhere along the line has done a genealogy, and I know that my kids are 7th generation Texans. So I mean, I am Texan, like so. And you were talking about before, like there's stuff you don't have control over, and that's absolutely true, but the things that I do have control over, I want to use my voice for, which is, again, like why I'm so excited about this, Lone Star Literary Life. So, all right, I'll get off my soapbox now.
No, I think that's lovely. And I think people that are listening to this might have been felt like I was dancing around at stuff a little bit. And I think it's great that we got to hit it.
Yeah. Fantastic. For sure. There are Texans who want full rights for everyone, for all the things, and have compassion and understand the nuance between the many issues that are going on right now, from the border to abortion to book bans to all of the things. And it's heartbreaking. Like,
it is. It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking that there's actually feels like more of a minority gets to control our majority. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Well, and nothing is, I feel like there's a lot of either or, but life is really both and.
Yes.
So,
yep.
Yeah.
I feel like people should just be able to make their own fucking choices, to be honest.
Yeah.
We're here on 80 years is a good life, and you're saying that someone, as long as they're not hurting anyone else, then they should be able to do whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, you've got 80 years on this life. You do you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay.
Your third grateful.
My third group would be, so I've covered that. What am I grateful for? I would say being able to have the choice and the privilege, because I feel like it's both, of being able to live a creative life. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. To be able to have the option to do this, to write, to do all the things. Like I fully understand that it is a privilege, and I don't take it for granted. So
I
yeah,
try and think of that all the time, because I'm someone that, like, I'm always trying to grow something, and I feel like sometimes getting lost in the process. And like, even the other night, I'm like laying in bed and I'm like, I suck, this sucks, like, you're just swinging for the fences and you're just airballing every time. And then I'm like, I have to step back and be like, oh man, look at all the stuff you've got to do.
Yes.
Whether it's creativity, like traveling. I just have, growing up where I grew up, that just wasn't an option. And so now I get to do all that stuff, and I have to sort of wheel myself back in and stop being a prima donna bitch, basically. And
well, you don't have to talk to yourself like that, for sure.
Sometimes I do, to sort of like get out and be like, hey, get out of this. Like, you don't need to do that.
You could, but I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. And and I would throw into to this, like I said, I'd had some health problems in 2022, and I had some earlier this year. And so again, just to be able to enjoy having the energy and the health and all that, and the privilege to be able to do the creative thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
All right. Last question, and then you can let your ears rest and me not chew them off anymore.
No, this is, I feel like I could talk to you all afternoon. So,
do you know what? I feel the same way. You have to wear a shirt with a slogan on it for a year. What does it say?
Trust yourself.
Ooh, dang. My wife says that to me all the time, because I always second guess myself. She'll be like, you should just trust yourself.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Trust yourself. And that's been a journey for me, for sure, to get to to understand that I haven't, that's not been my knee jerk place.
Yeah.
So to really, to remind myself, I should probably tattoo it. Like, yeah.
Oh yeah. I just got a new tattoo called, it says Linger Longer.
Okay.
So just here on my arm. I don't know. That's not going to work out, but Linger Longer. And what, my granddad used to have that at the front of his house. Oh. And so all me and my cousins have it. One of my cousins has it across his chest, one on their arm. And
that's beautiful.
But it's meant to mean like, linger around a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Like hang around.
Stay a while, y'all. Stay a while, y'all.
Yeah, exactly. So that's, I love when people put meaningful stuff on their bodies.
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Me too.
Have you got any tattoos?
I do not. I have, I have a brother who, he's a Navy chief, and he's got full sleeves, both sides. And my daughter, he, for her 18th birthday, paid for her and went with her to get a tattoo, which, the story behind that is she got this really beautiful, it's just a black and white kind of celestial sun thing.
Yep.
And the story about why she chose that, which anyway, I went to get a tattoo when I was in college, and I had waited. I'm like, if I really want one, I'll still want it 2 years from now. So I waited, and I went with a friend who was getting her nose pierced, which at the time was scandalous because, it was the 90s, early 90s in rural Texas. And so
I can only imagine.
Yeah. And so I had it, it was a little sun. I had it all picked out. I was going to do it like on my hip, and like he had put the, the outline on, like the transfer or whatever to do. And I'm like, just show me what it feels like first without any ink. And he did. And I'm like, I'm out. I am such a wimp. And so anyway, so that was my tattoo story, which my kids knew. And so when Phoebe went to get hers with my brother, then she's like, I got it for you, Mom. And I'm like, don't put this on me. Which I'm fine. Like if she wants to, do that, I just know, I have a friend this is a doctor who talks about her patients who are all tatted up.
Yeah.
They
hate needles.
Yeah. But they talk about how they regret the ones that they did like before they were 22 or whatever, like, and which I'm sure is not true for everyone, but anyway, I just thought, yeah.
I actually, the way I think of tattoos like that, because I have this like 3 stars along my belly, which now kind of looks, instead of 3 stars, it's kind of like a stretched out galaxy. So,
well, believe me, after having 2 babies, I'm real glad I didn't get that son. Yeah.
The way I look at it now is I'm like, oh, that's just a part, like I get to remember that story from that time.
Your history.
And whether that, I also have friends, like my cousin has a bunch of sleeve tattoos, has tattoos all over. The only one he cares about is Linger Longer. He's like, the rest of them, I don't care what they are.
Yeah.
I just enjoy it. And there's something so freeing about that. Of like, I don't care that people are like, oh, this is permanent. Well, technically it's not, but even if it is,
it's yours.
I enjoy the artwork. I don't care.
It's yours. Well, and meaningful. Yeah. I think for me, it would have to be meaningful.
For me, it has to be meaningful. Like for any of my tattoos I have on me, they're all got a meaning to them.
Yes.
But I am so inspired by the people that just don't give an F, and they're just like, put whatever you want on me. And I'm like, how do you do it? Like my brain could be like, no. I've got to have like a meaning, then I've got to have a sub-meaning, then I've got to have like, is the right font with that? Like, what does that font mean?
Yes, because there is one that I think I would like to get, but I haven't committed because I can't figure out what font I want for it. For sure. For sure. Fonts are super important.
Yeah. You can get like a little cream wherever you get it put, and it sort of numbs it up a little bit so it doesn't painful.
Yeah, I might have to do that. Have to do that. We'll see. I'll let you know if I ever...
please do. If you do, and then I will... So I follow you on social media. So when you start doing, like when you're doing stuff and that launches, I like repost it and stuff on mine because I want people to be like, it's stuff that's going on. You know what I mean? Like these people don't just, the interview doesn't stop here. Check out the rest of the stuff they got going on.
I love that.
When you're fully launched your business and stuff and you post about it, then I'll repost it. And also, well, I'll text you after this, but send me the logos for that stuff and for your podcast and that. And then I can put them up throughout the show, and that way people can pop them up.
Thank you.
And the links and everything will be in the description.
Okay, thank you so much. And I was going to ask, when do you think this will post?
So right now, I've got a feeling it's... I have 2 more in front of you.
Okay.
So I'm doing every 2 weeks at the moment.
Okay, that's good.
So it'll be after that.
Perfect, because the current owner I don't officially take ownership until May 1st. And so she's not announcing to everybody until Monday. So as long as we're after Monday, which sounds like we're good. So yeah.
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah, it's all...
Even if you were like, if anything happens and you say, oh, I need that to pause, like, can we push it back? There's no time sensitive stuff where I'm like, I can be like, oh, I'll push that back and bring the other interview forward.
Okay, thank you. I don't think it's going to be an issue at all. It's the 15th, and so
it's all good.
Shit's getting real.
I've never bought a business, but I can't imagine what that is.
Well, like. And I will say this. So my dad, I grew up, he's an entrepreneur. He's a photographer and has his own business. And then my husband, his dad had his own business. So we practically wrote into our vows, like, we will never, 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 never have our own business. And now
you have 2.
And now we have 2.
3 of them.
Yeah. 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 So, and yeah, and that's a whole nother story. Like we had a horrible year in 2013. And at the end of it, we're like, okay, like we're ready. Like, what do we do next? And so there you go.
Wow.
Yeah.
And everyone's got a great story, and yours has been fantastic.
Oh, thank you for having me. I am so
of course.
Yeah, I'm so glad I got to visit with you and get to know you a little bit better. This has been super fun. I knew, like, seriously, when I look back and saw your drawing, like, I just have such respect for people who have artistic talent like that. It's exciting.
Oh, I think the same thing about people that can write. Like,
thank you.
I'm like an idiot with like 4 thumbs. I can't write down anything. But I'll have an illustration out to you in a couple of weeks. And,
just
stuff like that. So I'll send you the stuff that I need.
Okay.
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
You're all good.
Perfect.
You're fantastic.
Thank you, Maddie. I appreciate it so much. This has been super fun.
No, very fun. Thank you so much.
Right.
And I look forward to your Monday where you get full ownership.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Have a good one.
No worries.
Bye.
You too. Bye.